Stop. Forget the blue oceans of Earth. Forget the red dust of Mars. You are now 900 million miles from the sun, standing in a world where the very sky is made of liquid gold. They called it Titan. For centuries, astronomers looked at this moon through the haze and saw a chemical nightmare, a place where the air is thick with nitrogen and methane, where it rains gasoline, and where the mountains are made of ice as hard as steel. To the early pioneers, Titan was a relic, a snapshot of a frozen, prebiotic Earth that never found its spark. They were wrong. Titan wasn't a failed world. It was a world waiting for a different kind of fire. The archive of the future reveals a truth that would have shocked the 21st century. Titan was the most important rock in the solar system, not because of its land, but because of its chemistry. While we struggled to terraform the barren deserts of the inner planets, Titan sat as a massive, frozen laboratory, filled with every organic building block necessary for a galactic civilization. Today, we unseal the files on the awakening of Titan. To understand Titan, we must first understand its atmosphere. It is the only moon in our solar system with a thick, substantial air. In fact, the pressure at the surface is 50% higher than on Earth. If you stood on Titan, you wouldn't need a heavy, pressurized spacesuit. All you would need is a very warm coat and an oxygen mask. And because the gravity is so low, roughly 1/7 of Earth's, and the air is so dense, a human could strap on a pair of artificial wings and literally fly through the orange sky. But beneath this romantic haze lay a brutal reality. At -179 degrees Celsius, Titan was a silent tomb. Its methane lakes, like Kraken Mare, were as cold as death. Life, as we knew it, was impossible. We didn't need to change the air. We needed to ignite the soul of the moon. We needed to bring the sun to a place where sunlight is only a faint memory. The year was 2081. The Mars colonies were thriving, and the cloud cities of Venus were the centers of interstellar trade. But the reach of humanity needed more. We needed a foothold in the deep system. Operation Prometheus was launched. The strategy was simple yet terrifying. We were going to give Titan its own suns. We didn't use mirrors this time. The distance was too great. Instead, we built the fusion arrays. Imagine 10,000 massive, self-sustaining fusion lanterns, suspended in the upper stratosphere by orbital tethers. These were not weapons, they were heaters. As they ignited, they cast a brilliant artificial white light through the nitrogen clouds, turning the perpetual orange twilight into a soft, golden dawn. The transformation was immediate. As the temperature began to rise, the great sublimation began. For the first time in 4 billion years, the frozen water ice mountains began to soften. The methane lakes began to churn. We weren't just warming the rock, we were stimulating a planetary-scale chemical reaction. We introduced atmospheric catalysts, engineered aerosols that broke down the thick smog, allowing the artificial heat to reach the surface. This was the most dangerous phase of the project. As the methane heated up, the weather patterns on Titan became violent. We witnessed methane hurricanes, storms that could swallow a continent, raining down liquid hydrocarbons in a relentless golden deluge. But within these storms, the alchemy was happening. The heavy organic molecules were breaking down, forming the basis of a new, breathable atmosphere. By 2085, the first open-air outpost was established. We called it New Avalon. It was built on the shores of a receding methane sea, protected by massive thermal domes. For the first time, a human looked out at the majestic rings of Saturn through a sky that was no longer an opaque wall of smog, but a translucent veil of violet and gold. Welcome to the golden age of Saturn. By the late 29th century, the archive shows that Titan had become the industrial heart of the outer system. But it wasn't a world of factories and grime, it was a world of wings. Because of the unique physics of Titan, low gravity combined with high atmospheric density, the architecture of our civilization changed forever. We didn't build skyscrapers that clawed at the ground, we built aero-cities. These were massive, kite-like structures that floated tens of kilometers above the surface, tethered to the ground by carbon nanotube cables. In the aero-cities, the European silence was replaced by a titanian grace. Imagine a city where there are no cars, only gliders. dust, methane, and ethane seized were harvested by automated refineries, turning the raw hydrocarbons into the fusion that powered the starships heading for the Kuiper Belt and beyond. Titan was the bridge. If Earth was our cradle and Mars was our forge, Titan was our gateway. In the labs of New Apple, we achieved the impossible, the creation of synthetic life. We didn't try to force Earth-like biology into a methane mix. Instead, we designed life that thrived in it. We engineered methanogens, cellular organisms that used methane instead of water as a solvent. These weren't just experiments, they were the gardeners of a new world. They began to build a dark green crystalline ecosystem on the shores of the warming seas. Titan was no longer a copy of Earth. It was something better. It was a world where humanity and chemistry had performed a perfect duet. We had taken the most hostile elements and turned them into the foundations of a utopia. As the archive closes this entry on the Titan files, we look up. From the balconies of the Aero cities, the rings of Saturn fill the sky, a billion fragments of ice and dust shimmering like a halo around our destiny. Titan taught us the final lesson of planetary engineering. The universe does not give us homes, it gives us raw materials. It gives us poison, cold, and darkness. But it also gives us the curiosity to overcome them. When we first arrived at Saturn, we were a species bound by the chemistry of water and the warmth of a single star. Now, as the 30th century dawns, we are a species of the void. We have learned to live in the fires of Venus, the dust of Mars, the ice of Europa, and the golden haze of Titan. The solar system is no longer a collection of distant lights. It is a house with many rooms. But the archive of the future is not finished. Beyond the majesty of Saturn lies the mysterious tilting giant, Uranus, and the sapphire winds of Neptune. And beyond them, the Oort cloud and the infinite, terrifying, beautiful silence of the interstellar void. Our journey through the backyard of our sun is nearly complete. We have become the architects of planets. Now, we must become the architects of stars. My name is Rachel, and this is the archive. The future is unsealed, and the journey is just beginning. Thank you for being part of this timeline. If you have followed the archive from Mars to Titan, you are now ready for what comes next. Subscribe to the future, for the gates to the stars are about to open. Archive closed.